host, engineer, and streaming superstar, Todd. Say hi, everyone.
Hi.
See?
Hello.
Remember there's that awkwardness I talked about.
I was trying to be polite.
I don't know if Todd's actually going to sit in with us. Vinny is supposed to be here. There was a miscommunication. He should be on the way.
No, he's there. He's just invisible.
Yeah.
Hi, Vinny.
Hi, Vinny.
See, the curtain moved, so that was his way of saying hi.
Give us a sign, Vinny.
Yeah, ever ghost hunters, give us a sign. So I love the cool name things on there. It's like a Ouija board.
Oh, it is.
Did you, Kevin? You graphics rock star, you?
I came up with it this week. I'm like, you know what? We really need a... Todd, can we do this? And he's like, yeah, we can do that. I'm like, all right, they're on their way. So I sent them over, and yeah, I think they look pretty good.
It looks nice.
I'm so fortunate to be in a group where people are so technically apt that they can figure all this kind of stuff out. I probably could. It'd take me about a year, but I could probably figure it out. I'm a smart guy. I just spent a lot of time on the intranet and, buying equipment and eventually hiring mentors and taking classes, but I would figure that out.
I believe in you.
Thank you.
Yes.
At least somebody believes in me. So what do we want to do here tonight? We want to talk about an investigation we did from our case files. We're going to have more exciting paracelebs coming up on future episodes, obviously. But every once in a while, it's nice to say, you know what? We are a paranormal team. We are out there helping people, solving cases, doing work for the public, doing events. And we want to talk about some of our cases because we are paranormal investigators first and foremost. And we do come across a lot of cases. Some could be considered a bust. And what I mean by that is that we can experience what the property or the homeowners are experiencing, even after going back several times. Or we can find a logical explanation for what's going on, something that's, not paranormal. And then sometimes we start a case and then the people that we're consulting with decide they don't want to do it. They either get nervous or possibly the husband or the wife doesn't want to do it. We get it. We understand. I mean, this is not a common thing. It's like you have a leaky pipe, you call the plumber. There's the leak. Come help me. Your switches don't work or outlets don't work, you call the electrician. It's pretty cut and dry. Sometimes the actual problem may not be, or the solution may not be as simple as you think. But when it comes to the paranormal, sometimes it's like, I got some things that are being experienced, but they may not just jump to the conclusion that there's a ghost or a poltergeist or, let's say it. Let's just get it out of here right now. The D word. You know what that is, Stephanie?
Demons.
There you go.
Yes, I got it.
Demons. Kevin can attest to this. A few years ago, when Ghost Adventures and all those shows were prime and, they're scaring the daylights out of people on TV, we did receive a lot of calls. And for people that had demons. And we'd always ask, what do you mean you got a demon? Well, I got a scratch. Okay, tell me a little bit more. Well, there was a scratch. It had 3 lines. That's a demon. Really? Okay. I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen people get scratched. I've been scratched, and I've seen cats scratch people and other weird little creatures, rodents, but that was not demonic. So, once we stepped out of that, now I don't think I've heard a single case lately where the people are throwing that D word out. They're like, I got something going on. I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. Please help us. So that's what we do in the background outside of the show. We are actually helping people. So tonight we want to talk about a case, a very interesting case. And Kevin's going to give us most of the narrative on this because he was the lead on this. Each member in the group, I know you've probably seen the show Ghost Hunters, and you've seen TAPS. And they have a case manager, they have equipment manager, a secretary. They have different positions. Here in our group, we're pretty much uniform across the board. And what I mean by that is that if one of the members gets a case and answers the request first, or knows the person or is familiar with it, they take on the role as a case manager. So they'll oversee that case and take it from the start to the end. And we assist that case manager along the way, whatever we can do with the investigation, fact-finding, historical research, whatever that is. Now, this case came to us through our member, Vinny. And Vinny brought it over to us. Vinny was relatively new with the group at the time, so he wasn't really sure how to do it. So he bonded with Kevin, and Kevin took over as case manager. And Kevin, by the way, did an outstanding job with this thing. I mean, the documentation you provide is like, wow, this is like something like the FBI would write up. And it's like, here's the results. And it's like, but and I'm not making fun of you. It's very informative. When you're going to study something and you're going to go back in, because we're now considering going back in with a second team with a couple other, different pieces of equipment, a couple other methods that we want to try out, things like that, a couple other team members. And this is how we solve a problem. It's not usually like a one-time deal. We go in, we do an investigation, come back, boom, we know what it is. Now, we have some thoughts, and I'm going to turn this over to Kevin to take us through this. But better yet, Kevin has got some evidence as well, so that's important. So we're not going to just talk. We're going to talk and show, which is important because if you're talking about the paranormal to someone, you got to have some type of evidence. If you go in and you experience it yourself or another person experiences it, it was real for you, but now you have to prove to the homeowner and everyone else in the group that you actually had a paranormal experience. Yep. Now, all of us have had that. Stephanie, I don't know if you've had it. You're relatively new with us. I don't know what your background is. Let's talk about that a second before we get into this. So what is your background? Have you ever had any experiences in the paranormal growing up?
Yeah, when I was a kid,
Okay.
I've seen a couple of things. One in particular that still kind of freaks me out. I was going to bed, and in the hallway, we used to keep the hall light on because, as a child, you're scared. You want to make sure there's no monsters there. It did not work, though, because there was a little girl standing right in the doorway, just like staring at me.
Always that creepy kid.
Right? Why is it always got to be a little girl?
Always the creepy kid. I've been involved in a majority of cases that have had children, either something pretending it was a child or the spirit of a child or something that looked the size of a child. So a lot of the cases I've been involved, that's it. And it seems to me that children are, they have a lot of energy to them. They're energetic. In real life, they're energetic, they're inquisitive, they're running around exploring. And I would think as a ghost or spirit, they could be the same way. We always say, Kevin, don't we always say that sometimes people who are mean in real life are probably mean in the afterworld too as well?
Oh, that's my biggest saying. I love saying that. Everyone that throws around that D word, demon. I got a demon in my house. It's evil. It hates me.
You're like, no, it's just an asshole.
It's so mean. Well, guess what? You know what? If I'm going to say it, I'm going to swear. Might not be a swear for some of you because everyone else uses some pretty nasty words. But if you're an asshole in life,
there it is.
Be an
Boom.
asshole in death.
Yep.
And you know what? If you're an asshole and you're also very religious in life, and then somebody starts, throwing Hail Marys at you after you're dead and saying, stop doing this, they're going to be, what the hell? You can't do that to me, right?
But sometimes people, if you could put yourself in the shoes of a ghost, literally. I know it's going to get weird.
It's kind of
It's always weird, isn't it?
I was a ghost. I like this.
So
this is good.
So imagine you're dead
Okay.
and you're a ghost or spirit, whatever makes you feel better, the term, okay? And all of a sudden you find yourself in your home, right? Oh, this is my house. Then all of a sudden you can sense something around you, like we sense something around us. And you want to communicate. You want to get that person's attention, right? So we poke a little bit and prod, but we don't do it in a bad way, okay? We don't instigate, but, asking questions and doing this is poking and prodding. So maybe you're going to poke and prod, and maybe you end up scratching somebody to get their attention.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but people are like, oh my God, it's a horrible, evil thing that had to me. Maybe that's how that entity or spirit connected with you, is say, hey, I need to talk to you. I need your attention,
Have you ever come across anything that you actually think is a demon?
That's a really tough thing because I think in order to be called a demon, you have to bring the religious element into it.
Right.
If you're doing prayers and things like that, and all of a sudden things turn really, really bad, then I'm gonna basically probably weigh more on the meter, 0 to 100. I'm gonna probably be like 75% thinking that's a demon.
Yeah.
I did do the Hinsdale. It was the Hinsdale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Hinsdale house. And the story goes that they've had a couple exorcisms in there. And we were talking to something that was there, and we brought up a name of a spirit that we talked to in Utica. We brought up his name. He responded. and I made a comment, and that I probably shouldn't have. It was probably considered challenging, but that's what happens when you put me on the spot. And plus, I was in a room with a very powerful psychic medium, 2 of them actually, and I got zapped. So that's how. And when I mean zapped, people just kind of look at me. What do you mean zapped? Like, yeah, psst, like stung or no, I got zapped where it just sucks the energy out of you for a little while to teach you a lesson and say, whoa, back off, Mm-hmm. But is that a demonic thing? No, people were telling me it was, but I don't know. I'm going to go on the fact of being an investigator, and that is, I have no proof of that is. I know what experienced and what happened to me, and I'm still trying to figure out if there are logical, environmental reasons why it happened, and there still could be, but exactly what happened, how I got better, is I made a few phone calls to some paranormal people I know, like John Zaffis and Chris Moon. And after they told me to do what they told me to do, I instantly felt better. I mean, I was dragging. I mean, I felt like I had the flu without the respiratory part. That's how bad.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So there's things out there, there's forces out there we're playing with or playing against that can push back. So you got to be kind of careful. You really do. So anyways, with all that said, let's move on to Kevin to tell us a little bit about this case here. And I've got a ton of questions because unfortunately I wasn't there. Stephanie wasn't there, so I'm sure
I'm excited to see what we got.
Todd was with you as well,
yeah,
right?
Todd was on the investigation with us. So this whole thing started back in, end of February, I believe. That's when Vinny first contacted me. Just called me one night, and he's like, hey, I got this couple that they're having problems in their house, and he goes, I think it's pretty significant. And he started telling me about it and telling me about some of the photos and stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's some crazy stuff that, I'll if you want to give him my number, go ahead, pass it along and, send him my way. So I think it was about 2 days later as I got a call from a homeowner. And I'm not going to share where the house actually is. It is down St. Johnsville way. I'm not going to give out any names. But she called me up, and it's just her and her husband. And they do have some animals. And basically they had lost, I think it was about 6 animals in about 6 months. And everything was checked out and sent out to professionals down, I believe, in Cortland. And everything came back as there is no possible way for these animals to have died. They couldn't figure out how these animals died.
They just dropped dead.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it was like there was one of them that was just completely rare and almost impossible. I guess the animal was pregnant, and the uterus just like exploded. It was just crazy. Yeah. So anyways, they were very scared that whatever is in their house that they're experiencing was actually, causing this with their animals as well. So I spent probably about an hour on the phone with her and talking over some of the stuff. And she comes from a very religious background, so she's scared of the D word. Her husband,
as most people are.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone should be terrified. Yes.
We're not scared of the D.
Of course not.
So yeah. That's what the D means?
Yes, really, that's what it is.
My God, if these panels fall off, is there like a big satanic thing drawn on there?
So yeah. Anyways, so I'm talking to her, and she's like telling me all this stuff. They have a couple rooms in the house, beautiful house, huge, but they have a lot of empty rooms because it's only her and her husband. They never had kids. They just took care of a lot of animals. She actually does animal rehabilitation and stuff. And they found footsteps, footprints of kids in one of the rooms that they really don't go in.
Yeah, it's a guest room upstairs, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was just a guest room that they really don't have anybody even really sleep in there. And put it this way, there was not a lot of foot traffic in there in the first place, that there was dust on the floor. That's how they found the footprints, with just in the dust. So she was like, I'm kind of hesitant to send you these pictures because that shows that I don't sweep that much. But so they were very worried. They're worried we were going to bring in a Ouija board. We do not bring in a Ouija board. Yes, we have Ouija boards for our name tags now, but we don't do anything like that. So we kind of talked it over about, we'll come down, we'll do a consult with you, get to know you and your husband.
They had some evidence too, right? They had some videos and stuff that they had sent to us early on.
At the time, they didn't have video. The only thing that they had was a couple of photos.
Oh, that's right. It was photos.
Because she had some religious items that were thrown off a table and one off the mantle. One of them was broken. It was like a sculpture of an angel. They had the footprints. And then up in their attic, they went up there one day, and all of a sudden this child shoe right around from the turn of the century was just sitting right in the middle of their stairs.
I can see why they were scared, thinking it was demons.
So,
that's very...
I mean, she's freaking out. The husband's like, I don't care. But he's like, I don't know. So I try and talk her down off the ledge kind of thing. So, we'll come in, we'll talk it over, we'll figure out what's going on. And we can decide from there if you want to do a full investigation or not, because our consults are really exactly what they are. They're job interviews, basically. It's whether or not they want to work with us and whether or not we want to continue to work with them.
Yeah, and that's like almost more important than the investigation is the consult, because that's like stage one. If we don't get a good feeling at that point, or we figure they're just wasting our time, or we're going to be wasting their time. I mean, we just basically do what we got to do. Thank you. No hard feelings. And we just move on, And sometimes it's outside of our scope, and we will basically possibly recommend them to somebody else, So the console, like Kevin was building up to, it's a story that comes up to it. So we go in there and kind of test the hypothesis, what's going on here, and then we do some handheld stuff. We try to get a gauge for the climate there, and then apparently, based on what Kevin and the crew did, that it warranted investigation. So,
yeah.
I mean, basically, we just went in and we grab a K2 meter. We want to get a basic reading of the house, and that house had a basic reading around to
very old house too.
Yeah.
How old would you say?
Oh,
I think the house was built. The main part of the house was built in the 1850s.
Wow, okay.
The original part of the house was 1770s.
Very
1770s?
Yeah, it's very old
That
house.
original part of the house was very small. It was only smaller than the room we're in.
And a lot of old...
Maybe a 10 by 10.
Old things, a lot of old pictures, which we all know can
that
hold
house
residual.
can tell some stories, man. No wonder they're having some...
Yeah.
That's wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So, basically, we get down there. We meet the couple, very nice couple. They had a spread of homemade baked cookies, so, they won our hearts already. They had coffee, water, everything set up for us. And we just kind of discussed with them what they've experienced.
Yeah, Pete was in love as soon as he saw the cookies, so it was all over.
Right?
Right there.
He could smell it down the thruway.
Yeah, he was like, I smell cookies.
Well, I mean, when she offered them when we were leaving, she said, you guys want to just take them with you? Chris was like, I got them.
Oh, that's right, Chris. Chris was quite enamored with the cookies, too.
So we went down, we met with them. The K2 meter showed about a 0.2 milligauss throughout the entire house. In which in old homes, that is not uncommon to have. It's not high EMF, but it's moderate. It's not really going to do anything to really affect you.
Yeah, and I was surprised that there wasn't a whole lot of fluctuation in certain areas where you would think there would be. You know what I mean? It was pretty even.
So, based on our conversation that we had with them, they decided, we would like you to do an investigation. So we said, okay, we no problem coming down, bringing a team down, do an investigation here. They had enough, photo evidence to show us that showed that, we could possibly catch something. So we said, we'll set up an investigation. We're going to bring it back to our team, tell them what we have, and we'll go from there.
The sincerity came across, too, that they were really serious about what was happening to them. You know what I mean? You can kind of tell when somebody's feeding you a line or they've been watching too much, Zach Bagans or something. I mean, those shows.
We've run into cases
specific.
where we're like, we'll come in and do an investigation. And they're like, all right, can we invite 30 people and bring in a keg? Or it's like, this isn't a party. I mean, you could pay
Paranormal
for
party.
Yeah.
We've done a few of
pay
those.
for our entertainment.
It didn't feel like that.
I wanna
For
go.
our home investigations, this is all free. But once we get into the entertainment part, there's a fee. There's a fee. So when we told them we'll come down, we'll do this, they're like, well, what do you say about us being involved? And I'm like, well, it's up to you.
Yeah.
In essence, we are guests in your house. You have the say of who's involved, whether or not we bring in this and this amount of people on our side. You can tell us that you want to be there throughout the entire thing. If you don't want to be there, we're fine with that too.
How do you personally like to do investigation, though? Would you like them to be there to sort of entice the ghosts a bit, or would you rather?
The thing with having the homeowner in the home is one of the old things for paranormal investigators is you're not supposed to investigate your own home, because once the spirit actually realizes it can communicate with you, it's going to want to keep communicating with you.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So, if you're annoyed with it already,
And
and then you're like, all right, I guess I'll try and talk to it. And then it's like, oh, you could talk to me? Sweet. Now we're going to get this party really going, and we're going to keep this going,
Yeah, but sometimes they're the catalyst.
Right.
Sometimes the activity centers around them. So sometimes you do want them to be there.
Yep.
But like Kevin said, maybe not communicating, but being present.
Oh, okay.
But then we've done some where people are like, no, I don't want to be here when you do it. Just we'll go for a ride.
And that's what the original case was with this couple. Was they said, nope. If we're gonna be here, we're gonna have a couple of friends maybe come up that they're gonna bring their camper, and we're gonna hang out in the camper. Okay, no problem. It's your house, whatever. So that's how it was. We left it at that and said, we're going to bring it back to the group, tell them we want to do investigation, and we'll try and set something up.
What do you think changed their mind to join?
We'll get there.
Oh, yeah.
He's got little cue cards up there he's reading on.
Okay, perfect.
The storyline.
So that consult was on, oh my gosh, that was March 13th. And directly following that Tuesday is when New York State shut down.
That's right.
So another first for, everybody got thrown into this huge mess of what do we do at that point with this whole pandemic lockdown. And that was another thing of, okay, now we have a family who is genuinely scared in their house still. They want us to do an investigation, see what's in there, and we can't go down there. We can't do that because, we can't risk our family, our friends, with the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. And so I reached out to them and told them, unfortunately, we don't know what's going on with this pandemic. I don't know when we can set up this investigation. And they were very understanding of the situation.
Yeah, but we left that line of communication open too with them. Kevin was constantly talking to him, so it's kind of a reassuring type of thing to keep him. Like, we didn't forget you. We know this is going on. Mm-hmm. We're doing our best. We want to help you when we can. We will. And so.
And that's what basically happened is when I texted her and said, we can't do this. We can't break this lockdown to go down and do the investigation. That's how we got kind of started talking and saying, okay, well, we asked her when we left the consult to start keeping a log of everything that was happening. And instead, she texted me a log. Almost daily, I would get a log of things happening. And that would actually include, different things. Vinny's here.
Vinny!
In-house. We're talking about our case right now. Papa Squat. Yeah, right there. You're in the spot where it says, it said Todd. It says Todd now. Go ahead. Sit right down in the chair there. So anyways, we kept up open that. We you. Stop that, Todd. Come on, man. I know sanitizing, but come on. We just lost like 9 viewers because of you.
Sounds like a windstorm in my ears here.
It does, yes.
Go to your shop, but that's okay.
So yeah, she kept texting me throughout the entire thing, giving me updates, this and that. And you know, as we went along, they started getting stuff on security cameras. They had security cameras set up around their house, and she started sending me footage of things that they were capturing. And actually, why don't we jump right into that now?
Yes, let's.
So
Yes.
this
I'm
was
stoked.
the very first piece of evidence that she had sent me during the lockdown period, the pandemic period. You ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, so
That was cool.
That was cool.
basically that's their front door area. And the first thing you hear in the audio is it sounds like their front door slamming. Okay, now this is at about 1:15 in the morning. It's 1:11. They're asleep. They're very early to bed people because they're very early risers type people. This figure looks like he walks out their front door, and actually just before what you're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen is actually a reflection in the window of the IR lights from the security camera.
Can you play that again?
Yeah, I want to see it.
I'm gonna play it again.
Okay, good.
As you see the figure, as you see the figure get closer to the light, you see it actually goes transparent before it disappears.
I
Yes.
noticed that. It was
Yes.
dark, but it was like semi-transparent at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, it looked like an actual person in the image at first. I was like, that's very solid, but that.
All right, so let's go that again. Whoop, hold on. There we go. So that was the door shutting. You see the figure
my
walking,
gosh.
and he's gone.
I mean, I feel like that's pretty legit.
So yeah, that she sent me that, and as soon as I got that, you know, in a text, I'm watching the video, and I just freak out. You know, I'm in the middle of work at the time, and I get this text, and I forget who I'm texting. I forget that I'm texting a client that is, you know, afraid of what's in her house right now. We haven't really talked her down. And I get that, and I text her back in all caps, "Oh my God, that's freaking awesome!" And I immediately text after that, "I am so sorry. I got really excited. I forgot who I was texting, but you know, that's very rare even in our world of investigating. It's very, very rare to capture a piece of evidence like that.
now you feel that is genuine.
I feel it.
I know you've watched that. Probably knowing you probably watched it at least 100 times.
Yep.
Looking for some way to dismiss it. You know what I mean? As an intruder or just a random person.
Yep.
I mean, which is a possibility. Because investigators, we have to always think that there's a possibility that it's just something, you know, a person or a weird occurrence or some weird play of light or something. But looking at it, I've looked at it several times now, you know, and to me, it looks genuine to me.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, you know, we talk about credibility, you know, because we talk about, like we were talking about the Bigfoot one time, and we were talking about all these people see everything, you know, all these thousands and thousands of sightings, right? Are some of those people batshit crazy? Oh, yeah. But there are a lot of credible witnesses also that see stuff. And that's basically, you can't dismiss that, you know? And these people are credible. And this is stuff that they're capturing, you know? It's just not randomly they're walking around in their house trying to find a ghost or something. It's just something they pulled off of a camera when they're in bed sleeping, probably scared the crap out of them.
Yeah.
One of the things that really made them kind of credible is, I mean, besides what their careers are, but besides that is they actually said to us, you know, we just want to know, do we have to leave our home?
That's legit.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, that's a big statement from somebody.
Yeah.
If somebody says, do I have to leave my home because of what's going on here? It's like, if somebody who's just trying to get a rise out of somebody, you're not going to get that kind of, real sentiment out of them.
And it's kind of like and also when we talk about, because we encompass everything that's paranormal, like UFOs. Remember going way back, we talk about UFOs. There's always those crackpots that would say that the UFO, this is UFO. I got a sighting of a UFO. Now, basically, we're at a point where legitimate people working in the military and the government and everything are basically, yeah, that's UFO.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. So now, basically, that wall of skepticism just starts to lower, and you're like, yeah, that I mean, these people, I would think, are credible. And just like this case, these people are credible. So, and most of the time, I mean, we have, Kevin, you and I have done some cases where the people were not very credible.
No.
They're telling stuff, and you can basically just tell when they're telling you stuff like, this just, I don't know, something's just, and they'll show us a picture or something, and it's just like, we don't dismiss it. I mean, we look into it, obviously, but you just know.
Yeah.
That footage
I mean,
alone,
really,
though, is like just seeing that it went from solid to like suddenly disappearing.
Yeah.
If it was solid all the way through, I'd be like, I don't know, but like just based off the footage alone, the fact it disappears in front of you, that's pretty legit to me.
But it's all completely black, though, too.
Yeah.
And Vinny himself was the one who brought them to us.
Mhm.
Vinny said they were credible. I mean, in Vinny's business, he can read emotion and sentiment a lot. So
when she first told me about all this, when she first came and she brought me, we were discussing it. The first thing that came, I just looked at her and says, "Are you all right? Is there something wrong?" And she just looked at me and said, I don't even know where to start. And the husband was like, "Oh, you guys are all crazy." And I was talking to her, and the more I spoke with her, the more I just had to kind of like not being disrespectful to him, but I had to hear her out. And I'm looking at her going, "Are you okay?" And the more I talked to her, the more I realized she wasn't okay. She had no idea. And being ultra religious as she is, and then the husband starts, as I talked to him, I says, "Do you understand what's going on?" He goes, "Yeah, I see it, but I don't believe it." And then the more you talked, he told you what he saw, she told you what she was experiencing, and you talked to him and you listened to her and him together, and that's when I went and said, "We got to talk to them." I offered to
That was a
Kevin
good call.
because it was really odd. But the husband, up to a little bit ago, was still it's not really a big deal.
Right.
Now he's like, there's something really going on here because, since then he's had a couple experiences more. I mean, not just the door, but there's more. Like when we went down that day for the, I don't know how far you went with everything. He followed me around as we were walking through, and there's some strange things going on.
Yeah.
And he followed me, and I says, "There's footprints here." He goes, "No, there's not." I said, "Look close." I mean, you got to look real close into the dust, and there's little people footprints, like very small, like a children. And it's been really interesting to go over there and look.
Yeah.
But those videos are.
compelling stuff.
Yes.
I went to my car and hooked it up to my car to listen to the voices. Did you get to the voices yet? Because I know your
Not yet.
hearing's off a little bit. Okay.
Not yet. We haven't gotten that far. That's the first piece of evidence we've shown from the case.
He's teasing us here.
Oh, gosh.
We're working through the case. Right now, we just got into the first part of the lockdown before the pandemic in March, and we just got that first piece of evidence that she had texted over. So basically from there, it was just all out brawl of she was sending me videos with some audio stuff, visual stuff, and then some of her own research. And then we coupled that with our research.
Sure.
We're going to backtrack a little bit back to the consult. So I took some of the information she gave me, including the address and stuff like that, and started researching historically before we went down for the consult. And I came up with a few names. The land was a predominantly owned land from a predominant person at that time in the early 1700s. Along with the house was also owned by this person, the original part of the house, and there was a possibility of deaths in that family of children, in which they did say that there might be some children in the house. They believe that there was a man in the attic, and some other things. So the children part, the reason she got the children part was because she had a dream one night. And as she discussed it, it really did sound more of a visitation dream. And the visitation dream was with a child she met down in her basement. And her name was Anna. So she didn't tell me at first. She told me about the dream in that first phone call I had with her, and said that she met with a little girl in the basement, said that there's a man in the attic who won't let her leave, won't let me leave. We went down, did the consult. I had actually done my research and found out that the person that owned the house had 2 daughters that had died. Both of them died at the age of 13. One of them, her name was Anna Elise. And at that point, I had that inside a folder. I did not show her what the folder was, and that's when I asked her. I said, "What was the child's name? Did she tell you her name in the dream?" She said, "Yes." She told me her name was Anna.
I just got chills.
And I was like, I picked up the folder, opened it, looked at it, shut it, put it down, and I was like, I'm ready to warrant an investigation right now. So that was my point of, okay, we can do an investigation here. So moving on down the road, we've got the first piece of evidence here. Then she starts doing her own research along with some people that she knows, some friends. And she's basically, hold on, Pete's getting dizzy because of the smoke, and so is Kelly. So Todd's in there trying to do something about the smoke right now to help everybody out.
Now, let me
the
just,
smoke?
can I just interject something really
background.
quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Since Vinny's here. We talk about 2 kids dying there and stuff like that. Nowadays, if 2 kids die at a home and a property, there's a lot of speculation. Why, it just doesn't happen. But back then, Vinny, usually people, they passed in their homes, right? And then they had the funeral and everything there. And, wasn't it more like a family kind of thing that
The community of family would have come.
Right.
And then they'd be buried on their property.
Right.
Which is what we discussed with her. There's got to be a cemetery somewhere on that property. But they don't seem to know where it is, which would probably be overgrown by now.
Right. But it's not uncommon for back then. I'm going off the premise you said the 1700s and 1800s, that people when they got sick, they would stay home and the doctor would come in and they would pass in the house. It was a common thing. They didn't go to rush them down to St. Luke's in the ambulance and, it was a completely different, it's a completely different world that we live in now compared to then. So, a lot of times in these older houses, they had deaths in them. The
always.
families passed in the house.
I find it a little suspicious they're both 13, though.
Well,
At
they
different
both
times, right?
didn't die. Both daughters didn't die.
Yeah,
This
both
one-
daughters did.
Died at the age of 13.
Yep.
That's a little
But that-
suspicious to me.
It was
Yeah,
like-
that is suspicious.
It was
Yeah.
a couple years apart, but they died at the age
Right.
of 13.
They probably had some form of disease that they never even checked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was also a boy there, I think, that drowned.
I'm not sure of
There was,
how he died, but we did find a Henry.
there was a little boy that died there, but I believe he drowned because we had done some other investigation, and there was a little boy who drowned there.
Yeah,
Wow.
there was I believe, a 7-year-old named Henry that died early 1900s.
Okay. All right.
So that there's like a during when we sat, there's like a jokester there who likes to play with the crystals on the lights.
Jokester ghost.
Yeah.
A little kid.
Spirit. Okay.
You know, so we had talked when we were there that day. We did mention you should probably put some toys out for these kids to see if they
Keep
start
them
to.
occupied.
Not a bad idea. It keeps him occupied in real life. Why wouldn't it keep him occupied in the afterlife? You know, they're there.
Give him an iPad.
Yeah, keep it simple because I don't think they had iPad. Well, they might have
In the
had one.
1700s, really?
Now, it's always beckoned the question to me
Angry
whenever we do
Birds.
investigations and we come across child spirits, like, why are they there? You know,
Yeah.
why? I mean,
We'll get that
because
too.
yeah, like the Hubbard house. Remember we had that.
Yeah.
There's the child spirit that we witnessed with our own two eyes, and we got audio evidence. And you wonder, why was that child there? You know, I mean,
Well, I guess if their parents are still alive, maybe they wouldn't feel comfortable moving on to the light. They probably want to stay comfortable in their house with their parents if they died before.
they're young and maybe they don't know they don't understand what's
Yeah.
going on. You know, so they don't know what to do. You know, I mean, it's like if a small child ran away and went someplace, they wouldn't know what to do. And it's almost kind of the same thing that's going on here.
Yeah.
That's why at the Hubbard house we did the deliverance, and we kind of guided that child to the light. And then we went back a few times to do kind of like an assessment to see where we were. And we reached out to that child several times, and no response, no nothing. It felt so much lighter there.
That's so
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Doing
Right.
some good.
So we're getting back to the story now. Here we go.
Go ahead. I'm waiting.
Okay, now we're on to the part where she started doing some research on her own. And through some of her research and also a friend of hers, they found actual written history somewhere that the land used to belong to the Mohawk Indian tribe.
Now it's getting interesting.
And at one point, that significant figure of history once stole the land from the Mohawks, in which for Aaron, I'm sorry if there is a word for this. Aaron is watching with us right now. I'm sorry if there is a word for this and I'm not using it right, but for lack of a better word, the Mohawks put a curse on the land. Basically, anybody that lives there, any kind of livestock, anything like that, would not be able to make it very long, make it sustainable because it was taken from them. And that was like written in part of, I don't know if somebody just made it up back in the 1800s or something, wrote it down, and somebody found it. And
It's quite the
whatnot.
coincidence, though.
yeah, so she brought it to me, and she said, I found this. My friend had said something about this, and she said her friend had native blood and said that, possible. What do we do about this? And she's thinking along the lines of her animals and stuff like that. And I'm like,
Sure.
okay, time to reach out. And that's where we're very happy to have Agent Paranormal with all of our contacts. And we reached out to Aaron up at the St. Regis Mohawk Indian Reservation. And Aaron's watching. You got a big heart from him right now.
He's also a pretty good paranormal investigator. From
He and his brother,
what I know.
they know what they're talking about. And Aaron is very versed in, Mohawk history. And we're very appreciative of everything that Aaron has done for us in this case. Basically, we reached out to him. We passed on all the information that she gave us, what had been going on, the information we found. And in the beginning, Aaron was very short-worded. And I said, Aaron, can you please tell me, did the Mohawks have curses on properties? And he was like, we have a ceremony for that. I'm like, okay, is there any way to get rid of it? We have a ceremony for that. It's like there's an app for that kind of thing nowadays. But so Aaron did some research on his own. He got back to me and basically passed on a ceremony to me from the Mohawks, and basically to appease the spirits of the land. I am very happy to say that since we passed that on to the homeowners, they've done it once a month, as per what Aaron said, in which it's an offering of tobacco and an offering of food. So basically, they would burn tobacco throughout the day, and then when they sit down to have a meal, they set up a plate for themselves, and then a third plate, and then whatever they're eating. Also, there's a portion on that third plate as an offering for the spirits. Nobody touches it. They put it in the corner. They let it sit overnight, and everything gets buried at sunrise the next morning, and that continues for 1 month. Since that time, they haven't lost any more animals. I can't say that the spirits have calmed down, but I don't believe that the native spirits are the ones that are still going. So Aaron, thank you very, very much. It's nice to have contacts in every kind of paranormal life there is.
Sure.
There's much more cultures out there that are more versed to help out people in some situations, and this is one where we're very appreciative of everything. So moving on, she started sending me some more stuff. She kept doing all this offering and everything, and she said there's still stuff happening. We're still getting some stuff on the audio, stuff on our video. So let me grab another one here. Okay. So this one here, there's no audio on this one, but let's just have a watch. Are you going to play? There we go. All right, I'll replay that. All right, so we just got a bright flash of light out of nowhere. So she sends me that, and I'm like, cool, somebody's got a flashlight. She's like, no, that's it. It's at 20, so 8 o'clock at night. But we don't know where that came from. There's nothing there that should cause that flash of light. So I'm like, anybody turn on the basement light, this or that? Nope, nobody turned on the basement light. Eventually, we did go down and do the investigation down there, and Chris and I actually went out and talked with Ryan, or the guy out there. He came out, he talked to us, and basically said, we don't know where the flashlight came from. We don't have a spotlight out there. We don't have any kind of light that would flash that quick. So Chris and I were looking. We did look at the basement window, which there is one there. There's also a doorway down to the basement. And I asked the homeowner, can you please go inside, turn on the light in the basement, we'll take a look. So he goes down, turns on the lights to the basement. You can barely see through the basement window. It's got some kind of like really dark film over it. So it's like, okay, well, that's not it. I mean, you can probably shine a flashlight on it. You can barely see the bulb coming through. So there's a window above, and we're like, okay, what about that room? And he's like, it's a storage area. And he said the only lights in there is a pull string light. It's like, from that flash, I can't say that anyone could flash a pull string like that quick. We can't say it's paranormal, obviously, but we can chalk that up as... That's weird.
Yeah, it's hard to tell where the light source is. It kind of seems to just appear right there.
Yeah, sometimes you got to file that stuff in the weird category. Yep. There's I can explain that category. Then there's like, oh, that's paranormal. Then that's just weird. Yep. So you kind of file that back in there and see if that adds up to anything relevant.
It's kind of like a technical term of like my file's corrupt. You don't actually have an explanation. It's just corrupt.
Sure.
So from there, we went down and we finally, Vinny.
Sorry.
The guy comes in late, dropping stuff.
We finally were able to set up an investigation July. I mean, that was a while down the road, but I mean, there was a lot of texting, a couple of phone calls, some more evidence that she had sent, but we kind of could dismiss it. There's a few of them that I would say is definitely like more bugs, something like that nature. But we went down there, we did the investigation in July, and through all of our texting and talking with them, they started becoming more comfortable with what was going on around them, more comfortable with us. They had a better understanding. And so at that point, they said, you know, we're inviting our two friends with their camper still. And, you know, we might go hang out in the camper, but they're also interested in the paranormal, and they want to know if it's okay if we, you know, kind of take part in it. Like, yeah, we don't have a problem. You know, we would say that, you know, no more than 4 people, because after that it's a party.
Not that that's a bad thing sometimes. But.
So we're like, okay, good. They're getting more comfortable. We're doing our job so far in this most drastic time ever in our history. And we get down there, and they're like, we're going to go hang out in the RV. Like, okay, cool. So we get down there. She gave us a tour of the property. We did get some high EMF levels on the property in some spots. One of them was getting up into, I want to say 75 milligauss.
Wow. Yeah, it's high.
Yeah, that was out in the side yard, which was just out of nowhere. There is high tension lines, probably about 500, 600 yards away from the property,
Yeah.
but I don't think it
That's kind of far, yeah.
That spiked,
Yeah.
and it was only in a secluded area. She did talk about that there might be some burials out back, so she brought us back to these mounds in the backwoods. And we had warned her about digging. And before we had gotten down there for the investigation, she sent me some pictures. I don't have the pictures on here. And said, what do you make of these? And some of the stuff in the pictures that she sent were arrowheads, stone tools. There was a bone that had some carvings in it, and I'm like, oh my God, these are native tools. And I sent it to the group, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but she just sent me these, so I texted her, and I'm like, where did you find these? Well, I found these in one of those mounds that we talked about at the consult. And you went digging. Yeah. Did you bring them back to the house? But yeah, I brought them back, cleaned them up. They're sitting in the house right now. And, you know, at that point, I wanted to say something, but I didn't. I was just like, okay, anything happened in the house? No, nothing really picked up or anything. And I'm like, okay. But I really wanted to reach through the phone and be like, have you ever seen Poltergeist?
Right. I was totally just thinking that.
So basically, nothing really happened. But I did warn her. I'm like, please don't go digging again. Don't bring anything back in. Remember, you are doing these appeasement ceremonies once a month to appease native spirits, and it looks like you found native tools and you brought them back in the house. You might have desecrated an area. Don't do it again.
Yeah.
So she was understanding of that, and after that, no more digging. Her husband makes sure no more digging. But she brought us back to these burial areas, and I showed her how you actually dig when you're looking for paranormal evidence, which is use a metal detector and don't move anything.
That's not really digging.
Well, that's
Metaphorical.
paranormal digging. If you don't want anything to follow you, that's paranormal digging.
It's exploring.
So anyways, we checked it out. Nothing there. We went in, continued our investigation, and it was really quiet that night. We didn't really have anything happen to us. Meanwhile, they're all across the street down in an RV having a bonfire kind of thing. and we're up at the house. Pretty quiet in the house. I did witness a crystal on the chandelier in the center, was just kind of spinning around. We did video that, but again, we can't say that it's completely evident because
Yeah.
any kind of motion can move it. We did a portal session in the home. There was a few things that we got out of it. Nothing that even that we got on audio was really great to come back with.
Yeah.
So we did end up going down and asking the female homeowner to please come back up to the house and join us for the portal session, thinking something might be attached. And she came up. There's a couple things that came through the portal that seemed like it could have been for her, but it wasn't really anything. And unfortunately, that's paranormal investigating, and we all know that. There's so many nights where we go out and we're like, yeah, let's go, and we get absolutely nothing, and it's boring.
Oh.
So basically, we came back. We did some evidence review, and it took a few weeks to get evidence. Everybody had other things going on as well. There's some personal issues and with some of the group members, so it took us a while to get back down. But in that time period, she basically just kept sending me stuff, more evidence, more things that happened. We did warn them that after we do the investigation, it might kick up a little bit. She did say that there was some. She was doing one of the appeasement ceremonies, and once they finished the appeasement ceremony, she was picking up the plate to move it, and she said that she looked in the front foyer, and it looked like somebody was standing there. She saw a black silhouette of somebody standing there, but he had like a white satchel, like hanging from the side of him. And she's at that point, that was our first indication that we're doing our job. Number one, as told through Aaron, is he believes that that was the spirit accepting and saying, we accept your offering and thank you. From our perspective, again, this was two people that were afraid, not sure of what was in their house, not sure if they had to leave. And when she texted me that she saw that, she said, I didn't feel threatened. I didn't feel uncomfortable. It just felt like an acknowledgement. And at that point, that was like, that's a big marker for us. That's a big, big, big thing for us. And it's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because sometimes coming up with the results of what's happening, we may never find out what it is. But sometimes the biggest accomplishment is bringing the homeowner face to face with the reality. And it takes some of that mystery and that fear away from them, and they seem content with it. Oh, okay, we'll deal with it. We know what to do now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have many cases that we've had homes we investigated that the people never even knew there was a haunting going on. They just told us a story about some dreams they had. And we went in there, and all kinds of things were going on. And then we revealed to that, and they're like, wow, I didn't even know this was happening. And they're cool with it. And they say every once in a while they're reading a book in their bedroom at night. They can hear like a little party going on. And they're like 11:30, 12 o'clock, whenever their bedtime is, they'll ask whatever it is to quiet down, and it stops. It's just, I guess,
like live with it.
Yeah. Once you know what it is, you don't feel threatened by it, And that's an amazing case with her because, like you said, she felt like it was an acknowledgement.
Yep.
Like it came to her as a black shadow figure standing. I mean, I've seen people get a lot scared over a lot less. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't. She looked at it and it must have somehow communicated to her somehow that thank you,
mm-hmm.
for the offer.
I mean, considering she first thought it was a demon and now it's like, this is completely different than what she's thought. Right. So,
yep.
Yeah.
She didn't run out of the room in fear. So somehow, whatever it was, could be sending her some type of communication, signal, vibe, whatever that, this is not threatening. Mm-hmm. We're here. Yeah. And so that's what happens a lot of times. Like Kevin did an amazing job reaching out to the Mohawks and basically helping with this because you know, people like they said, "Oh yeah, this stuff ain't real." Oh, it's real. It happens. You know,
I mean, there's stuff that we don't know anything about. We need help too.
We've had so many centuries of history around here and different tribes of people here before, you know, we came over and stuff like that. So all that has to come into play a lot of times. Somebody told me a really interesting thing. They said a house isn't haunted, the land is haunted. So the house is nothing but sticks and building materials. It's the land that's actually haunted. Because some people are like, oh, this is a new building. It can't be haunted. It wasn't here in the 1700s. Like, and Chris Moon actually is one that always told me, it doesn't make a difference. It's the land that's haunted. Whatever's there is there on that piece of land, regardless if the house is there or not. You could tear it down and put up a new one and have the same kind of problem.
All right. How about we show a couple more evidence pieces that she had sent me?
That would be cool.
So here's another one. This is back in July after our investigation. This one's at 3:26 in the morning. Okay, so that wailing sound that you heard was one of their animals. And just about everything else is their animal too, except for the knock you heard. The light, I don't know. We'll watch it again.
The knock happened at the very beginning.
Yep.
All right. That couldn't be a car coming by or something with headlights?
That's in the house. That's actually at the rear part of the house.
Okay.
And besides that, their road, if there is one car every, I would say 3 hours on that road, that's a lot.
I think going to say 3 days.
There's nothing there.
Yeah. And investigating, I mean, we had a really, really hot summer. Oh, just brutally hot human summer. How did Pete do with that?
He was all right.
I mean, it must have been an old house like that. It wasn't going into a nice new air-conditioned building. So
we all know Pete. We love Pete. But, you know, since I think he made the portal so that he could be stationary. And that's what he did. You know, he set up his portal right in the living room there. He found a nice big comfy couch and set up the portal, and that's where Pete was.
He's great with that. You know why? Because, I mean, I can do spirit box sessions great, but not like Pete. I mean, after a while, I kind of get bored with it. It's like, all right, you're going to talk to us, screw you. And Pete will sit there, and he'll just start asking questions about alien races. And he'll say, are you from this solar system? And this stuff, and I just sit there, and I'm just like, he'll just keep that conversation going for a long time, just trying to get anything out of it, you know? It's amazing.
We got another video, and this one's actually about an hour and a half earlier.
It almost looked like something was moving.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I saw the light, but this time it looked like there was something actually moving in the light.
Yep, we can watch that again.
Yeah.
Hear the voice?
Yeah, there is a voice back there. We still can't figure out what that is. As for the lights in these videos, I brought it to them and I said, you know, it really, I mean, I'll play it again for you, but it looks like somebody's opening up the fridge and kind of dancing back and
That's
forth.
what I was thinking.
What
I want
kind
to be
of
that
midnight
person.
snack
Now
do I want?
that you say it, it does.
So,
I was thinking like a door or something.
yeah. And actually, when I brought this to them, I told them that. The wife turned around and looked right at the husband and was like, "Is that you?" He's like, "Oh, no, I couldn't have been up with that." Oh. So,
So
we don't know. Again, that's another chalk it up is,
Weird.
yeah, weird. So,
See, look at us. We're not calling everything evidence of a ghost.
Yeah.
We're calling it weird. There's definitely something going on here, and we're finding stuff that's weird. Can't dismiss it, but then you can't just say, you know, this is evidence that there's something there.
Okay, and now we have another one here. This one's in color because there's enough light for it.
All right.
We'll watch it and see what you think.
That was loud.
That was so.
That was,
I just
was that
jumped
skunk?
out of my seat.
Was that a skunk or something that ran by?
No, that's some kind of blue light.
Looked like a little animal.
It looked kind of like, you know, The Nightmare Before Christmas, the dog.
Yeah.
That's
Play
what it kind of looked like.
play that one again.
Okay, prepare your ears.
Yeah, I'm taking
because
this
is
off.
loud.
Yeah.
I can't really bring down the audio on this, so there we go.
Can you pause it maybe in like the middle?
Right there.
Oh my god.
It to me still looks like a little animal.
It does, but it's glowing.
Yeah, I know.
It's a radioactive animal.
That bottom light underneath it's definitely a reflection. And I asked her if they have a RoboVac, and they do, but they said that the RoboVac has been dead for about 3 months. The battery shot won't run more than like 3 feet. Because to me, that looks like a digital display walking by in the reflection. I mean, these cameras are placed inside the house looking out the window on an angle. So whatever you're seeing in the house, you're going to get a reflection of that.
Gotcha.
But this is some kind of digital display because it's lit up. But if it was somebody walking, you would see them.
Yeah.
Or at least their hand glowing underneath it. But you're not seeing a hand
Plus,
glowing
it's going
underneath
really
it. It looks like
fast.
it's flat floor.
Yeah. And that's a screen, right?
Yeah, that's the screen. That's the
Get
checker
through.
pattern.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah, I have no explanation why it glows. It just if it was like IR or something, I guess it was like a heat signature or something. But I don't know about that color. But that's what it looks like. It looks like a little animal running through.
Little
It has a
blue
consistency
animal.
of something running.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly.
Again, I would chuck that up in the weird category.
all right.
We need to make a
and
graphic for that's weird.
Here is another one she sent. What you're gonna see is a bug. Okay?
Sweet.
Listen to the audio.
All right, as I say, we're gonna get a bug. So
Let's look at a bug.
It's a creepy bug. That's music, right?
It sounds like somebody singing, but
yeah, that's weird too.
Sounds like one of those old
that's
is it-
20 of 1 in the morning. They're definitely asleep at that point.
That's totally audible. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean the noise. You can't make out what it is, but
It definitely sounds like old timey.
Right, like one of those
singing.
like megaphones.
yeah, that's that one to me is almost borderline between weird and paranormal. That's a little bit more on that scale.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting.
All right. So I brought all this down. We talked about what we caught, which was not much. We did have Todd was upstairs with us. Actually, it was just Todd and I. We're upstairs in one of the spare bedrooms. And from that spare bedroom is a hallway that goes to the attic door,
Mm-hmm.
in which they don't want to go upstairs because she's not comfortable with what this male spirit is upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
But also we still think that the children are there, kind of running around doing some stuff. So Todd and I walk into this room, and I come around the bed to go to the hallway to go where the attic is, and I could just see this figure, maybe about 3 foot tall, standing in front of me. It's just all black. I'm not the type of person that when I see a shadow person, I'm like, that's evil. No, I see a shadow person and I'm like, they might not have enough energy to actually manifest features. So,
Full, like,
a shadow's pretty easy to manifest.
Yeah.
It just mass. So I saw this. I didn't feel threatened or anything. It was just kind of like standing in the middle of the hallway, kind of like, who are you?
Yeah.
And Todd comes in the room behind me, and this thing comes right into the room, and it's standing probably about 2 feet in front of me. Just really inquisitive, just kind of there. And at that same time, Todd, who has a Tascam voice recorder, not cheap, they don't really mess up all that often. He started getting some digital distortion on it. And he's like, something's messing with my recorder. Like, he's talking in the other side of the room. He's like, something's messing with my recorder. My recorder doesn't do this. What the heck? You know, I paid a lot of money for this recorder. It shouldn't do this. And I'm like, there's something in front of me. There's something right here. I can see it. And it kind of feels like it's right here. But that was really the only real thing that we had that night. So looks like Todd didn't load up his audio from that one, but you can actually hear the audio distortion, and you can hear me at the same time saying there's something right here. It's in front of me.
Do you have the photograph of the front door?
I do not. I sent it to Todd, but Todd didn't load it up for me. You better be listening. Yeah, you.
Was it in the file? I loaded everything in the file.
No, you didn't. I loaded those photos in the file.
Okay, so fast forward us to
Now we're
September 20th. Where do we stand with this now?
Since then, we've went down. We've finished our wrap-up interview, talking about the investigation, everything so far, and the couple are very comfortable in their home. They're comfortable being there. They have a better understanding of what could be there, what is there. And they're comfortable knowing that they have more power in their home. The big thing is, during the investigation, I went upstairs and I told whatever male spirit is up there that you're not wanted here. Why don't you just leave? It's not your house anymore. Get out. Go. They're still having experiences upstairs. But at the same time...
Oh, the shadow looking through.
It wasn't really my place to go up there and tell them to get out. So there's a good chance that spirit's still there.
Yeah, it's usually the homeowners.
So we told them that's your job. You have that power. Go up there, tell him to get out. As for the kids, it's up to you. It seems like they're having fun. I don't think they want to leave. I think that they're just there to play around and do their thing. It seems like they do like to mess with the animals, like play around with them and screw around, do some things. One of the latest things that I just got was she went into the spare bedroom where the footprints were, and they had a white comforter on the bed, and there was dirty footprints walking all over the bed.
What?
So she got really ticked off and said, now I have to wash the comforters. I have enough stuff to do around the house. I don't have this. So she texted me, sends me the pictures, and she goes, what the hell? I got enough chores around here. I don't want to have to wash the comforters. So I texted her back. I'm like, don't tell me. Tell them. You're
Scold the
technically
children.
their mother.
Yeah.
So, lay the ground rules. It's up to you now. She's like, ah. So,
There was grass on it, too.
yeah.
Oh, really?
So it's from outside.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really sometimes when it comes down to a child's spirits is like taking a parental figure and laying down the ground rules. That's what you have to do to kids, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And if they're kids in real life, you do the same thing. Now, if they're kids in the afterlife, you kind of do the same thing. That's interesting. I didn't know that part about the comforter.
We just
That's,
got that.
is this a picture of
I
it?
believe it was yesterday or
Let me see
Friday.
this.
She.
Oops. Sorry, Vinny, I did.
That's all right.
I know we're getting late into our show now. We are running a little bit late.
sorry.
But I do want to play some audio stuff that she has sent since we
Yeah,
went
yeah.
down.
Let's hear this.
So since Vinny and I have been down there, since we've investigated, we told her that, there's stuff going on in the attic. We didn't capture anything in the attic, but, if you have a spare security camera, obviously that is working for you so far.
Yeah.
Pop one up there. Well, while
Oh,
we
yeah,
were
it is
sitting there
dirty.
talking, the male homeowner immediately stood up, ran out of the room, had a spare security camera, and apparently went upstairs and set it up.
Yes.
So now they have security cameras inside the attic. And with that,
Good idea.
we have more audio.
All right.
Let's go.
Well, hold on a second. When I went up with the homeowner, he and I went upstairs, and he was standing at the bottom of the steps. I went up into the attic to take a look, and all of a sudden, this black thing kind of moved across. He goes, at the time, he yells up, "Do you see anything?" And just like that thing just left. And then I said, "Do you hear the music playing?" Because there's no music playing. Well, you could hear it in the attic, but you can't hear it by the door.
Did it sound like the recording that we heard?
No, it's someone humming, like,
Okay.
just some hums. So I said, they're humming upstairs, but you got to get something up there to listen to, which is what they have picked up since. It's like somebody sits there and hums.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
What do we got?
All right. So I'm going to start off with a pretty hard one first. I'll just play it, and you guys let me know.
All right. There's something at the beginning?
So there's something at the beginning, but there's also stuff in the middle, too. So if you listen again.
I mean, I can hear something, but I can't make out what it is at
Yeah.
all.
Anything?
It's just
I can't
noise
make out
to
what-
me.
Yeah.
So from the homeowner, and I do hear it, prepare for an explicitive. She believes that she hears a male voice yelling, "Fuck you," in the beginning. And then towards the center, you can kind of hear a kid somewhat giggling and kind of talking.
All right. Play that
Yeah, I
again.
want to hear that now.
In my head, it sounds like there's this male spirit that's upstairs that doesn't like anyone.
Yeah.
And these kids are up there messing with her.
Yeah,
Oh my
okay.
God.
All right. I'm pressing them in.
Yes, me too. I think I heard the U like in the very beginning, so it was sort of cut off. Maybe. Like,
It sounds like the beginning of the F is cut off, but you could
Right.
hear a
Yeah,
you.
something
Yeah.
forcibly like,
Yeah.
you know.
But remember, this
you.
is it captures some. The way this is set up is it's a motion capture, so something caused it to kick on,
Oh.
and then it starts recording.
Right,
This
right.
isn't recording all the time. These are motion censored
Yeah.
cameras.
Oh, that's.
Whole different ball game if it was
Yeah.
Basically,
Fucking thing.
yeah, I probably should have said this well in the beginning of our show, but every single one of these cameras that she captures something, they get a notification saying something's moving, something's talking.
Okay.
Oh, that's way
So,
creepier.
Okay.
I love it.
So the other ones are better than that one? That was a hard
There's
one?
more. There's
Okay. No, it's good.
There's a lot.
There's a little bit of feedback on this one. It's not too bad, but listen.
Yeah, there's definitely a conversation. I heard a kid and I heard an adult. And I think it was some foul language a little bit in there too.
I didn't hear the foul language.
You know, I was thinking that too, but I don't know if it was because we watched that other one we were listening.
It
for.
almost sounded like the TV was on.
Yes.
At
It's
10 after 1 in the morning, or 10 after midnight.
No, I understand it, but that's what it sounded like to me. It's like like the TV's playing in the other room.
I agree.
All right,
Yeah.
We'll go one more time.
Someone's going, oh.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a strong male voice that kicked that one off.
I actually named that file "Child Moan After Feedback."
Okay, careful how you put that on the internet.
Let's see here. About this one. Okay, so in the beginning of this one, you're going to hear kind of a deep laughter. That is the homeowner and a friend were just upstairs. They were walking down the stairs. They said something and laughed. Listen after it.
Okay.
So the conversation at the end, that was the homeowner and the friend. It's right in between that.
So there are conversations at the beginning and at the end.
Yep, they hear a laugh. There's something faint, and then you hear it at the end.
All right, play that again.
Ready? So, right now.
Something mimic him. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. It sounded like a child was mimicking them.
Yeah,
laughing.
yeah. It's like somebody says that you don't like, they laugh. You go hoo 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 like that after. That's kind of what it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
About this one. That's a dog.
So before the dog is what we were listening for?
Yeah.
All right, play it again.
That's eerie.
So what? It was like a howl of a dog?
The dog was howling after whatever that sound was. I don't know
Okay.
if that was feedback or what, but it
yeah.
sounded like the dog reacted to it, but that could also be a coincidence.
Yeah. I didn't really catch that one. I heard it did sound like a little bit like feedback. But that's
All right, and I got one more here. I think this is my favorite one. So, not the dog barking.
no. I understand that.
Yeah.
Do it one more time.
A dog?
Could be a hello.
I heard hello.
To me, it's like a dog. That's what it sounded like to me. But it sounded like it was a human voice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah, basically that's it for.
And these are all-
that's not it for the case. They actually want us to come back. They want us to do
Right.
some more investigating. They're very, very excited to do some more, trying to find some more with us. They're very happy to be in the house right now. They're happy where we are. And I'm very happy that even with everything that happened during the quarantine and all that, this is where we are. I mean, this is what we hope to give everybody that calls Agent Paranormal.
yeah, that's I can't wait to go out. I didn't make the first investigation. I can't wait to go out the second time. But the second investigation will be predicated off the first one, and that is that we now have an understanding. We kind of like know some things we shouldn't do, should do. You know what I mean? So that's what's kind of exciting about it. So now we know essentially going in some of the expectations and some of the different things that we'll try to do.
Yep.
So so that's a great case, and it's awesome that they're open to the help, that they take the advice. That's the number one thing over all the years I've been investigating for a while. It's giving people the advice and them not taking it.
Yep.
You know, it's like we all do it, right? We all like some guys like, oh, well, make sure, okay, I just fixed your floor and make sure you don't do this, or you have to do this every 3 days or so. You're like, yeah, okay, whatever, and you just never do it.
Yep.
So I understand that, but it's nice that they're taking the advice. I mean, come on, they were putting out a meal every day for a month. I mean, that's the most dedicated people I've ever met that want to basically wrap something up. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you.
One thing that we
Real
did
quick.
find in the basement, when I went down the basement, they have a lot of moisture and there's some mud. I did find a 3-toed, it starts nowhere and stops nowhere.
Like a footprint, 3 toes.
Yes.
Yeah, Yeah, that'll
In the
be a whole different conversation for another night. So, so thank you everyone for joining us at Agent Paranormal tonight. Make sure you check us out on Facebook at Agent Paranormal, and tune in to Disruption Network and follow all their streaming shows. They got a great group of shows going. So, thank you everyone. Have yourself a wonderful and safe night, and we'll see you hopefully in 2 weeks.